Saluton from BA. This is a Rorschach Multilateral update from the 3rd of June 2025, a summary of what's going down in the world's major multilateral institutions. Kicking things off this week, on Sunday the 1st, Germany's defense minister issued a stark warning. NATO should brace for a potential Russian offensive within the next 4 years. He highlighted Russia's significant military buildup, including the annual production of approximately 1,500 tanks and millions of artillery shells. However, not all of them are being deployed against Ukraine. He emphasized the vulnerability of NATO's eastern members, particularly the Baltic states, and pointed to recent cyber attacks and infrastructure disruptions as signs of escalating tensions. He urged NATO countries to bolster their defense capabilities promptly to deter any future aggression. Next up, on Friday the 30th, the UN Security Council decided to keep its arms embargo and sanctions on South Sudan in place until at least a year from now. The vote passed with 9 countries in favor and 6 abstaining, including Russia and China. The US pushed for the extension, pointing to the ongoing violence and political instability as reasons for the measures. Still, the embargo's effectiveness depends on consistent enforcement, monitoring mechanisms, and the political will of member states, challenges that can sometimes undermine its impact, especially if powerful countries disagree or provide covert support. In some positive news for the European Union, on Wednesday the 28th, a new high-level poll was released, indicating that trust towards the Union has reached its highest level since 2007, with 52% of respondents across the 27 member states expressing confidence in the bloc. 81% of respondents also said that they supported a common EU security and defense policy following the EU's recent approval of an arms fund in response to concerns about Russian aggression and uncertain US security commitments. Now on to some health updates. On Tuesday the 27th, the Pan American Health Organization warned that yellow fever is making a strong comeback in parts of the Americas. As of late May 2025, there have been more than 200 confirmed cases and almost 100 deaths, an 8-fold jump from the same period last year. The disease is spreading beyond its usual hotspots in the Amazon, with outbreaks now reported in places like Sao Paulo, Brazil, and Tolima, Colombia. Most of those affected hadn't been vaccinated, and health officials are worried about the virus's potential to reach urban areas. The organization is urging countries to ramp up vaccinations. Yellow fever is a viral disease that is transmitted by infected mosquitoes. It can cause symptoms ranging from fever and muscle pain to severe liver damage, jaundice, and internal bleeding. Without proper vaccination or treatment, yellow fever can lead to high mortality rates and major public health crises. Also in the Americas, on Monday the 26th, the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean released a report showing that the region is grappling with tight budgets and mounting debt, making it tough to fund public services and investments. The report suggests that governments could benefit from offering targeted tax breaks to green industries, aiming to boost both environmental goals and economic growth. It also emphasizes the importance of smarter public spending, especially in infrastructure, to stimulate the economy and promote inclusive development. In legal news, on Tuesday the 27th, Jordan's ambassador to the UN began as a new judge at the International Court of Justice. The ambassador secured the necessary votes from both the UN General Assembly and Security Council. His tenure on the court started on Tuesday the 27th, 2025, and will end in 2027. Recall that the court's president is selected internally by the sitting judges through a secret ballot. On another note, on Wednesday the 28th, the International Labour Organization, or ILO, announced that it is laying off more than 200 employees due to a significant drop in funding, primarily from the United States. Gilbert Hungbo, the Director General, expressed concern over staff morale and is considering relocating some operations to more cost-effective cities. The US, traditionally contributing 22% of the ILO's $880 million biennial budget, has slashed its voluntary contributions under President Donald Trump's administration. Since we mentioned the US, on Tuesday the 27th, leaders of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, agreed that any trade deals with the country should not negatively impact fellow member states. This consensus comes amid concerns over President Trump's proposed tariffs, which could impose duties up to almost 50% on some ASEAN nations. Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim emphasized the importance of protecting the region's collective economic interests. ASEAN country heads have been cooperating in response to Trump-era tariffs through other meetings and measures, including strengthening regional economic integration to reduce dependence on external markets like the US. They have emphasized the importance of multilateral trade agreements to maintain stability and open markets, all while trying to stay united despite sometimes different desires. In the world of development finance, the Inter-American Development Bank and the World Travel and Tourism Council announced they had teamed up to launch a tourism task force aimed at boosting economic growth in Latin America and the Caribbean. The initiative seeks to strengthen collaboration between governments and businesses and plans to develop policy recommendations and attract investment to the region's tourism sector. The infrastructure between governments and tourism organizations varies in strength across countries in the region. Some of the region's governments have national tourism boards that collaborate with regional and international agencies to promote sustainable tourism and cultural heritage. However, coordination can be uneven, with stronger partnerships in countries like Peru and Colombia, while others face challenges due to limited resources or political instability. Going back to health for a bit, the World Health Organization, Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and Germany's Robert Koch Institute are expanding their joint health security initiative across Africa. Their goal is to improve disease monitoring and response by connecting the health and security sectors. They aim to achieve this goal by stepping up training, technical support, and developing national plans to manage biological threats. These organizations already had a degree of collaboration on the continent, but now it will be stronger. Shifting gears during a meeting at the headquarters of the Organization of American States, St. Kitts officially joined two major inter-American human rights treaties, one focused on eliminating discrimination against people with disabilities, and another aimed at safeguarding the rights of the elderly. Let's return to Asia, since the International Monetary Fund announced it had finished a visit to Kazakhstan and said that even though the country's economy is growing steadily, there are some financial concerns to keep an eye on, including inflation, which remains high at around 11%. In more news from Central Asia, the Director General of the Food and Agriculture Organization highlighted the region's significant potential in agriculture thanks to its vast lands and rich biodiversity. Still, he also pointed out that water scarcity and outdated infrastructure are major obstacles, emphasizing the need for immediate investment in water conservation, cross-border cooperation, and sustainable farming practices to ensure the region's future. And finally, let's wrap up this episode with news from the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, or OSCE, which concluded a meeting held in Moldova on Monday, the 27th. The aim of the gathering was to train the country's state tax service and Ministry of Finance to regulate and tax cryptocurrencies and related technologies. The sessions covered international best practices, EU regulations, and common tax avoidance tactics. This event is part of a broader OSCE initiative supported by several countries to help Moldova strengthen its financial oversight and reduce risks like tax evasion and money laundering tied to digital assets. And that's it for this week. Thank you for joining us. Want to pass along an episode? Just head to www.rorschach.com/multilateral to download any of them as MP3 files. The link's in the show notes. See you next week.